Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. You know, a lot of times we are around people and we have no idea what they're dealing with. On the outside, it may look as though everything is fine, but they may be dealing with pains and issues that a lot of us are unaware of. That is definitely the case of our next guest. We're excited to welcome Mr. Michael Moore to our program today. He's one of Yazoo City's own that has been dealing with his own situation, dealing with a neurological disorder. We're going to talk to him not only about that disorder, but also what he's going to be doing in just a few days to be able to hopefully get some relief, but also why he wants to share his story to be able to help other people as well. Mr. Moore, hello to you and welcome to the program.
Yes, hello.
Well, really excited to have you on with us, Mr. Moore. I got a chance to speak with you before we went on the air here for Conversations Live to find out a little bit more about what you've been dealing with. As I mentioned, you have a neurological disorder, and you're about to be having surgery here as we're having this conversation in just a few days. By the time our audience hears this, you would have had the surgery. But I want to first of all talk about this experience. I mean, how did you first discover that you had a disorder?
Well, how I discovered over the past years, I have been having headaches and have been taking just medicine for migraines, which we thinking headache, migraines, that little medicine would work. But then I was recommended to a neurologist, and they ended up having me to have an MRI, and then they would diagnose me with a rare disorder, which is called Chiari-1 malformation, where the cerebellum drops down into your spinal canal, causing headaches, dizziness, and balance, all kind of issues with that.
Right. This is important that we talk about this, Mr. Moore, because as you and I were talking, there are people who might have dealt with headaches, dealt with different issues, and may not even realize that there was something more to it than what they thought. So when you heard about you had this neurological disorder, what was going through your mind?
Wow. All these years, I've just been sugarcoating the problem, help with the migraines, but not getting to the source. So I was very, in shock, and I said, well, hey, you mean tell me everyone going through things and they're not aware of it, and so it just made me just come very aware of it, of the issue.
Now, you and I were talking about, I think, something that a lot of people probably do hear about, and that is spina bifida, which deals mainly with children. Have you found that there are some comparisons to that when it comes to what's happening with adults when it comes to this particular disorder?
It is a comparison. Well, first of all, the spina bifida, which is Chiari-2 malformation with babies, and symptoms come along as you becomes an adult, and they can be asymptomatic and cannot be symptomatic. So for as with the spina bifida, a newborn baby can't tell you about the issues, what's going on with them, and so I'm sure they're going through the headaches and just excruciating pain, back pain, neck pain, sticking pins, feeling is just, so I could just imagine what they're going through.
Right. That's so true. So, also there is the rarity factor, right, of this. Talk to us about once you got this diagnosis, Mr. Moore, what did you find out about how rare this was?
Well, when I got the diagnosis, I started doing a lot of research, which I love to do that, and everybody should enlighten themselves when a topic or something come, new to them. I like to research, so it affects 1 in 1,000 people every year, so they put it at about 100,000 cases diagnosed, and look at how many that does not get diagnosed because, not knowing about the information. It's rare.
Right. And I think because it is rare, that's another reason why conversations like this are so important. One of the things I asked you when you and I were talking before we began this interview, Mr. Moore, is why? Why did you want to tell your story? As I said, a lot of times we see individuals out, we don't know what they're dealing with, right? We don't know what they have been having to endure because of disorders like this. Why did you feel as though you wanted to tell your story?
Well, I feel that way is I'm always trying to, if I could help someone, one person, I feel like I have done a great deed. And why I want to help is because it's just I want to just make everyone aware of it. And I caught fire, and I said, hey, if I need to get this information out there. I look at all the other disorders that are, there is so much awareness on them when you look at cancer or, it's so much. So I said this need to be get out, and people need to be aware of it, and they'll know. So they can say, maybe I need to get this checked out,
Right. And that is a really good point. I mean, hopefully people will hear this and they will say exactly what you just said, and that is, okay, maybe this is something I should get looked at. Did you find as though it caused a big change in the way you live your life?
For as now or?
Right, as far as now.
Yes. Everything started making sense to me once that I found out this diagnosis. So, if I've been over, I don't do that. I watch myself. If I get lightheaded, I have a reason. I know the reason behind it. So I try to do things like that. I move too fast. I get dizzy and all. So I try to avoid those things like that. Just be very cautious, not turning my head so quick or so. I have become movement.
Well, I think, for a lot of people that are hearing this, Mr. Moore, I think the big thing is for them to know, for one, what they can be able to learn about what they're experiencing in your case, where, as I mentioned, we're talking about a neurological disorder, but also knowing about the new normal for them. Now, I mentioned that by the time our audience hears this, you would have had a surgery done. What is this surgery supposed to be able to achieve for you?
Okay. The surgery I will be having is called Chiari malformation decompression. It is where it will, as I spoke earlier, that my cerebellum brain, which is dropping down into my spinal canal, they will remove my C1 and possibly my C2, and also remove possibly an inch of my skull to free up space for the cerebellum. It should draw back up. So it's for the take force with the headaches. And from my research, I find that the surgery is probably about 84% successful, and no surgery is 100%.
Right.
But and from each surgery, different people will have different things that will be removed from their element. So that's the good thing about it. It affects each individual differently, so that's what I'm looking forward to.
And you told me that you have a good bit of trust in this doctor. Tell us why that is.
Well, I really do. My doctor that will be doing my surgery is at the St. Dominic Hospital. His name is Dr. Lonson. He is the only double-boarded neurosurgeon in Mississippi. He also has, matter of fact, he has performed the surgery on babies as old as 2 days old. So I feel very confident in him. Yes. And he also come highly recommended. Yes.
Gotcha. Well, for those who are just tuning in, you're listening to the Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Mr. Michael Moore to our program today. We're talking to Mr. Moore not only about a neurological disorder that he's been dealing with, but the symptoms, what it was like for him to get the diagnosis, and now what he's being able to do. Again, by the time you all hear this conversation, he would have had the surgery for the kind of help him to alleviate some of the symptoms from this disorder. Is this something that can be cured?
No.
Okay.
It's a lifestyle that you have to deal with. I don't want to put it on the level as like with cancer. It's not a cure. They're working on cures for that. But believe it or not, they said they don't really, the research I have found said that it's just really not known how it come about. So once you become aware of it, you can learn how to deal with, the issue there. So that's and the diagnosis is the only way. It's only found through MRIs, or neurological exam, So yes.
Right. Well, another interesting thing that you mentioned to me that I definitely want to make sure our audience knows, and you were talking about support, that's one of the things. Of course, I know you've had your family and friends there with you, Mr. Moore, but what is it you also want to do about making sure that people in Mississippi are able to get the support they need?
Well, yes, since everything has transpired, I have become very active, and I want to create a support group here in Mississippi, because the closest one I have found is in Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. The month for Kiara's dedication is in September, where they have walks in different states that have support groups. So I want to possibly start a support group and just get all the information I can get out there. I just want to have a support group from someone so they don't have to, instead of just talking on the phone, you can actually talk with someone to discuss everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, we both know support is definitely very important for sure. So I want to talk to you about what keeps you optimistic, Mr. Moore, because a lot of times when people are dealing with different things and they are suffering a lot of times in silence, what is going on with you is not something that we will be able to necessarily know just by maybe crossing you in the store or on the street. What is it that has kept you optimistic and kept you from giving in to depression, do you think?
Well, first of all, give God glory. I am very spiritually and apart. I just don't want to. I can say, well, I'm one that want to attack, what the issue is for the side of it. I've always been that way, and I just know that I can make a change, and I know that I'll be able to speak on the surgery and. I'm just a positive person. Maybe, somebody needs this support to hear that information and, the positive and not a negative. And, we just got to press our way through it and keep pressing on. That's my motto.
Yeah. Well, I think that is the big thing. It's a great reminder for all of us. Again, everyone, Mr. Michael Moore has been our guest for this segment. We've been talking with him not only about what he's been dealing with when it comes to a neurological disorder, but also how important it's been for him to be able to, one, take in information, two, to be able to make the changes that he needs to because of the diagnosis, but three, to be able to do what he can to be able to find some relief as well as to educate individuals as well. Mr. Moore, I'm really excited that we had a chance to be able to speak. Of course, our prayers are with you, praying everything goes well with you for the surgery that you're having. Again, by the time our audience hears this conversation, you would have had the procedure already, but what do you want them to know as we're closing out here about the importance of communication with their doctors?
Hey, the most important thing I can say, I'm a big believer in preventive maintenance. So if you have the preventive maintenance done, you could catch something early in the stage, and hey, it's just like with cancer, You could ward off what's coming, ahead, and that's the biggest thing I would say,
Mm-hmm.
That's in all aspects of my life. I just like to do preventive maintenance, so hey, and that'll make everything more better. Hey, it'll make everything more better and comfort for you. Better, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a great reminder for us. Mr. Moore, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate you stopping by and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Yes, I enjoyed it, and thank you also, and I look forward to speaking with you after the surgery, after my recovery. The recovery is, we're actually about 2 to 4 months. It depends on each individual, and but for as everything to get back to a norm, it might take up to 9 months to a year I have read. But, I look forward to that, and I will be speaking back with you to let everybody know how everything went and all.
All right. Well, look, we look forward to helping you spread the word about this neurological disorder and also your own journey. And it goes without saying you have an open invitation here, okay?
Okay, thank you, sir, very much.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live.